doctor, but I play one on TV. I know the problem, you've got just one policy. You do the opposite of what the Donald does. Don't know what you believe just because you got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Open the borders, let Mamdani pick your pocket. Let the boys beat the girls, they got that extra rocket. A theology degree from Starbucks. You declare that America sucks. You got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. If you're red, alright, let's get this party started. If you're left, you're blue and probably retarded. Like Rosie, De Niro, Jimmy Kimmel, Kathy Griffin. No kings, no kidding, we don't live in Great Britain. If J6 was the worst thing you've ever seen, Soros, burning Sadie's a mostly peaceful thing. Bring back the cartels, commute their crimes, sack the fact checkers like the New York Times. He's a Nazi, a fascist, a racist dictator who lets you say what you want to say.
Luke, I am your daddy.
You got that TDS. You tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. No matter what he says, you must be really dumb, 'cause you keep blaming Trump for your problem.
Side effects of Trump derangement syndrome may include violent behavior, delusions, nightmares, insomnia, irrational hatred, hopelessness, anxiety, depression, blue hair, tantrums, inability to form coherent speech, difficulty maintaining gainful employment, and verbal diarrhea.
There's no cure in sight.
Okay, folks, how's it going? Welcome to the program. We're going to do some forbidden history today. We're going to take a look at the history of the what everybody calls the Palestinian conflict. We're just going to look at it factually. I'm just going to show you evidence, and I'm going to treat you like the adult in the room, and you make up your own mind as to what you believe. By the way, as always, today's program's brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. The reason we partnered with them is because this is the company you can trust to deal with. I've watched it time after time, how they take care of people. All I'm asking you to do is go to jovanlovesgold.com. Request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. It is literally that simple. We're going to be going to digital dollar. It's going to happen. I worried that there's going to be an investment terms called the down round. It'd be like if for every $100 you have, they're going to say, well, it's really only going to be $68 because we got to make an adjustment, blah, 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 for this conversion. It's happened before in history. It will more than likely happen again. And there's just not crap we can do about it except get our stuff straight. It all has to do with just understanding how the system does it to us, because if you don't know how the system does it to you, you can't defend against it. This is why stuff like the full forensic audit are so key. By the way, are you waking up now? Are you finally seeing, isn't it horrible 6 years later now? After all of the time, money, effort, propaganda wasted. Well, I guess it wasn't the propaganda wasn't wasted. It worked. It's the machines. It's the Serbians. All that crap. And then you're watching California. You watch what they did. And it's just, as you've always known, the one evidence you can see, it is people, paper, and programs. It's the ballots. And we didn't stand down because of the left. We stood down because of the right basically went to propaganda. It's the machines. That was all by design, folks. When this whole time you could see right in front of you, you don't need a math polynomial degree to see why do you run in 118,019 ballots 1 month after the election. You don't need that. And some people get upset that I keep on pointing this out. I keep on pointing it out because, look, 6 years of pointing it out didn't work. And so I haven't found what it takes yet to get people to really understand, to finally stand up. And when it comes to all this money stuff or anything we're dealing with, it's propaganda. And you've got to be able to see through it. That's why I'm about to release my new book called The Three-Toed Dragon, because the same tactic is being used on data centers and artificial intelligence. And this is the same tactic that has been used because it works, and that's what they do for the quote-unquote Palestinian-Israeli conflict. So we're going to deal with pure history, folks, just pure history. I'm going to show you some pieces. You digest it, and you decide where you come down. Share this. We'll get started right after this.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-head and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. You fuck around and find out it's what it is. Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone. Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. Fuck around and find out what that is.
Here's what is inside the pharmacy. Grow Soil Bible. Beautiful gardens, bountiful harvests, and homesteading abundant black gold. For too long, modern agriculture has poisoned the very ground beneath our feet. Synthetic NPK fertilizers delivered bigger yields at a devastating cost. They wiped out the teeming microbial life that once made soil rich, alive, and endlessly productive, trapping us in a cycle of chemical dependence and dying farmland. Now is the time to fight back. The Grow Soil Bible takes you on a powerful journey back to the ancient wisdom that created the world's most fertile soils. Discover the secrets of Amazonian terra preta, also called black gold, born from biochar, fish bones, compost, and microbial magic. Master the art of Chinese green tea composting and Japanese bokashi to transform kitchen scraps and yard waste into living, breathing super soil. Whether you're a backyard gardener, passionate homesteader, or family determined to build real food security, this book gives you everything you need. Step-by-step instructions, precise natural ingredients lists, and proven techniques to grow your own ultra-fertile dirt instead of buying dead bags from the store. Become a true dirt farmer. Revive the microorganisms that power life. Break free from synthetic slavery and slow chemical suicide, and create abundant, nutrient-dense harvests that feed your family for generations. Your garden, your orchard, your future. It all starts with the soil. Reclaim the earth. Grow your own black gold.
Warning. The following program has been rated Gilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, folks, this is another one of those episodes where I'm going back to giving you some forbidden history. We're going to look at this Palestinian-Israeli conflict. It's going to be pure history, and then you decide the truth. I'm just going to show you pieces. You take the history in, and then you decide where you come down. First, let me tell you 2 reasons I'm doing this. In a communication group I'm in of, we'll just call it other influencers and or podcasters that are staunchly conservatives, I kept on noticing this Jewish rhetoric kick up. And I get tired of it. And I say, why do you keep on, to several people, why do you keep on with this the Jews, this the Jews? I said, this is bullshit. So I pushed back on it, and one person, and it said, well, it's still bad because they're creating genocide in Gaza, and they're killing children, and they're not perfect, and they're just murdering people. And this is somebody who's supposed to be educated in this stuff, know what the facts are. And I find so many people that sit behind the camera just regurgitate other shit they hear from, other podcasters. That's not being responsible to your position. If you get your stuff from other podcasters, and then that's just how you make your decision based to talk about it or not, and you repeat it, you're no different than the mainstream media. You're just getting talking points. I even invite people on, come on, we'll talk about it one-on-one. I have no problem calling out other influencers or stuff. They never respond. They don't want to do it, etc. Some people have found it makes them clicks and it makes them popular, and they got their little audience, and the military was still in control and President Trump was not in office, but he really, So I deal with this all the time. But I want to give you a little bit of history. That's why I decided to do this program. I couldn't get them to come on, or I would have done it with them and asked for their, okay, tell me about this. I couldn't get it to materialize. The other part of why I'm doing this is, let's go back about 25 and a half years ago, where I was at that time. I've got a brand new son. He's a little over a year old. I am getting ready for my IPO, initial public offering. Media's all over me. All these magazines are writing about my company, my technology, me, etc. And all Wall Street could do, and I kind of learned the Wall Street racket of what was going on. Talk about how you're going to be the next Bill Gates. and you're going to be worth $6-7 billion in opening day and all this other stuff. Now, I had already built something different than everybody else had built in technology. A lot of people had gone public to be or to reach the scope of $1 billion valuation company. I was one of the only ones, and one of the very first ones, they call them unicorns now, that built $1 billion company privately. And so I've got offices in New York City, Los Angeles, Dallas, Hong Kong, London, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're rocking and rolling and going. Well, the markets got soft. So you really kind of go public really kind of two times. You got two windows in any one offering during the year. So we're going to wait till the fall. And as we're waiting for the fall to see if the market's going to rebound, because the dot-com crash, which I told them was going to happen, the dot-com crash came, and invariably everything starts cratering down. So I'm in this fight trying to figure out, how can I save my company? You know, when you have a payroll, and meeting payroll is $2 million at any one time. Imagine that, company owners. Just payroll. It was taking a lot to try to keep the thing afloat, right? So as I'm trying to negotiate these things and everything else, in the midst of all that, one Hail Mary was out there. We're trying to work that Hail Mary, and that Hail Mary, I happened to be home when it happened. I wasn't there with everybody, but everything was going on in Tower 2s. That was 9/11. If I'd have been there, I'd be dead. But I'm here. Now, that day forever changed my life, because there was no way to save the company. You instantly, one day you got $800 million, and the next day you got zero in a day. Luckily, I was still able to save the technology and patents, and that took a few more years, but that day was 9/11. I want to show you one media clip from that day that the internet has tried very, very, very hard to hide. And this was what was going on in the streets and what you would call Gaza when 9/11 happened. Here's one of the reports in the streets. It was also going on in New York City, but pay attention.
Sign for victory being displayed in East Jerusalem today among jubilant Palestinians that the United States had been subject to this attack. What are we to make of that, Jennifer? Are we to... yes?
They're celebrating in the streets. Remember, we'd had previous attacks on the World Trade Centers. The scuttlebutt that was going again, if you're going to kill America, you got to kill its financial heart. Of course, that was Wall Street.
Sign for victory being displayed in East Jerusalem today among jubilant Palestinians that the United States had been subject to this attack. What are we to make of that, Jennifer? Are we to... Yasser Arafat may issue this condemnation. Look at this. We're seeing people applauding, clapping, smiling, happy to know that thousands of Americans have died in this sneak attack. And there you see a V for victory sign held up to the camera. What are we to make of that, and what are we to make of what about what Yasser Arafat said today?
Now, most uninformed people say, see, it was the Jews, because they don't know anything about history. Jerusalem, this is why it was such a big deal when Trump moved the embassy officially, was controlled by Palestinians, not the Jews. So I've always known for a long time it was coming, and we have a Muslim problem, right? In fact, that would be 2.5 years earlier. 2.5 years earlier, on my Fox television program at the time, I was the very first person to profile and talk about the massive bounty on this person known as Osama bin Laden. you could kind of see the writing on the wall. This was coming. Now, with that piece, we're talking 26 years ago, folks. This has been going on for a long time. That's the first thing you need to understand. As I show you these pieces, you want to look for commonalities. You want to look for trends. You want to look for patterns. Okay? But for me, this has, in my life, personally affected my family, myself. Now, this next little bit I'm going to show you is only about 30 seconds long. It's going to drive you nuts. It's kind of like when I show you the media saying it's a threat to our democracy. Threat to our democracy. Threat to our democracy. And you see those little video things? This is another little piece put together regarding Palestinians and their woes and being attacked by the Jews. But the first thing you'll notice, it's the same guy doing the same thing, but different places. Take a look. Sometimes they'll use real babies. Sometimes they'll use plastic babies. But his little stick is, we just pulled this baby out of the rubble. Or this baby's whole family's been killed and it now lives in a tent, has no mother and father. It's the same propaganda. And a lot of this goes on there. And I'm going to show you the things that people don't see, such as, my young son was killed and we've got to, save him, or it's horrible what's going on. Thank God for the UN. They're bringing us food. The Israelis are taking our food. You know about that, right? Let me show you food delivery in Gaza. One thing it's recorded. So here are relief workers controlled by the UN delivering food to kids. The media is there, but watch carefully.
بصور الناس وبيعطوهمش.
Yeah, they get the photo shots delivering it to kids and then they walk off. Because they never delivered the food.
بصور الناس وبيعطوهمش.
Now, this is part of the con that goes on, right? They tried to tell you that Israel destroyed the food, whatever, when it's them themselves. They need crisis. It's no different than anything else. They need crisis. They need conflict to make this all go nuts. Now, imagine them playing like a kid died and somebody happens to be filming it. But then there happens to be a legit retaliation by Israel and the air raid sirens go off. Watch what happened to the people carrying the kid. More importantly, watch what happens to the kid who's dead. Think about how often you see mainstream news. Of course, they don't play the rest of that clip. But there are people on the ground. This is why they hate social media. People on the ground calling out the con. I'm going to show you a few of this Gaza wood cons. In chat, you tell me what's wrong with this clip. No, his name's not Lazarus. I could play you thousands of these. His dead kid didn't work right. You'll notice from the left to the right, he made his dead kid change his shirt and then used a different kid in the middle. I don't know if you even caught the middle one because there's so much to watch, right? He's describing about his precious son has been died. They destroyed our building. They destroyed family. He was all I had left. He didn't make it. And then the kid in the middle that he's using at the time has to raise his right leg and scratch his foot. But then he does promptly put his foot back down or holds his head up. Again, it's all about clips and propaganda. See if you can spot what's wrong with this one.
I am Safa from Gaza. In female kill me and kill my children. Please share the video and use my audio to reach my voice to the world. Use my audio to reach my voice to the world. Share the video and use my audio to reach my voice to the world. Please help.
We'll go to the United Nations school, which Israel pays for it, but the United Nations school, which had teachers that participated in the horrible attacks on October 7th, killing Jews. But here's some of their students. They just rotate the students. See if you can see what's common besides the location. There's something else that's common.
We are in Rafah. We live the worst day of our lives, and no one cares about us. We live in a nightmare. We need help. We need food and safety. I hope everyone saves us. Help me save my family. Life. Please, before it is too late. Link in bio.
But yeah, even conservative podcasters will swear to you there's Israel's killing kids. What they don't do any of this homework. Let's see this, Gaza Khan. All over. You don't see the parties, the nightclubs, the people at the beach. All you think of Gaza is this kind of stuff. It's all a con. It literally is a con. Of course, a society that will blow up their own kids to kill Jews will also teach them to cry on demand, stand in buildings, have the other kids throwing rocks from above. So like the buildings falling on them, the whole bit. filming it with shaky cam. Here's more Gaza con. Literally, this is done in Gaza Wood. And the people on the ground participate in it because they want different angles, different views, the whole stuff. They stage these. That's why you see crowds in the backgrounds watching it. Yes, one of those, by the way, was AI when the lady in the filter and the filter moved from the baby's face to her face. That's technically AI. But this is a cottage industry. Raising money, raising money, raising money, raising money, feel bad, Israel's horrible. Just like the crap in our elections. Just like what you're going to read about when I teach you how this formula works in my new book, The Three-Toed Dragon. There's a formula to this, folks, and what we're doing is we're looking at the quote-unquote Palestinian-Israel conflict. I'm just going to give you history and you decide. What most people do not know is when did, quote-unquote, this conflict, which has been around for thousands of years, when did it go Hollywood, and when did it begin to raise an incredible amount of money, and when did it turn into the weapon of choice to destroy both the United States of America and to destroy Israel? Because remember, if they can get you to destroy Israel, hate Israel, you take Israel, you take anything Jewish out of the Bible, whatever, you got not even 2 points left, 2%. They know this. They need to get people to hate Israel. It's a multiple payoff. But the biggest payoff is it craters your religion. And what's the religion growing in the vacuum? Islam. Now, let's take a look at history and how this was devised.
Der Völkerstreit oder Hass untereinander, wird gepflegt von ganz bestimmten Interessenten. Es ist eine kleine, wurzellose, internationale Clique, die die Völker gegeneinander hetzt, die nicht will, dass sie zur Ruhe kommen. Es sind das die Menschen, die überall und nirgends zu Hause sind, die nirgends einen Boden haben, auf dem sie gewachsen sind, sondern die heute in Berlin leben, morgen genauso gut in Brüssel sein können, übermorgen in Paris und damit in Prag oder in Wien oder in London und die sich überall zu Hause fühlen.
وأقولها ليهود علنا لقد آن أوان ذبحكم لقد آن أوان قتالكم لقد آن أوان قتلكم وإنا بإذن الله لها نحن والمسلمين الصادقين المخلصين.
This map represents territorial dispute zones around the world. China, for example, occupies Tibet. Turkey has seized part of the island of Cyprus. Morocco and Mauritania claim part of the Sahara. Yet it is rare to hear about these conflicts, while the dispute between Israel and the Arabs of Palestine regularly makes the headlines, leads to systematic condemnations at the United Nations, and demonstrations calling for a boycott of the Jewish state. From terrorist attacks to retaliation, people are suffering, and it seems that this conflict has no end, while many in the Western world support the Palestinian cause, a cause that has even become a fashion with its specific vocabulary, clothing, and rituals. However, the Palestinian cause is of much less interest when, for example, the Palestinian city of Yarmouk in Syria is attacked and bombarded by the Assad regime. Nor did anyone rally for the Palestinian victims when, in 1970, the Jordanian and Syrian armies carried out a massacre resulting in the death of 25,000 people, according to the PLO. When Arabs attack Arabs, the streets of Western cities remain empty. Could it be that the Palestinian cause is able to federate in only one case when Jews are involved? Would it then be possible that the media, the United Nations, and activists are more anti-Israel than they are pro-Palestinian? Without knowledge of the region's history, and as a result of billions being spent by Arabs in propaganda, it becomes easy to accept their version, according to which Jews invaded and stole a country called Palestine. However, some PLO leaders, such as Zuhair Mohsen, never hesitated to express their knowledge of the facts. The Palestinian people do not exist. The creation of a Palestinian state is only one way to continue our struggle against the state of Israel for Arab unity. In reality, there is no difference between Jordanians, Palestinians, Syrians, and Lebanese.
في أساسنا نص فلسطين يا أخواننا مصري ونصها سعودي. إيش من هم الفلسطينيون؟ في أسماء كثيرة اسمها المصري وجذورهم مصرية قد يكونوا من الإسكندرية، من القاهرة، من دمياط، من الوجه البحري، من أسوان، من الصعيد. نحن مصريون، نحن عرب، نحن مسلمون، نحن منكم.
In the middle of the 19th century, on his return from a long stay in the Palestinian region, a certain Karl Marx published the following article in the New York Herald Tribune. The sedentary population of Jerusalem numbers about 15,500 souls, of whom 4,000 are Muslims and 8,000 are Jews. The Muslims, forming about the fourth part of the whole, are of course the masters in every aspect. Nothing equals the misery and the suffering of the Jews in Jerusalem. They are the constant objects of Muslim oppression and intolerance. At the same time, Mark Twain wrote, "There was hardly a tree or a shrub anywhere. Even the olive and the cactus, those fast friends of a worthless soil, had almost deserted the country." And where does this myth of a stolen land come from? In 1947, the United Nations shared what remained of mandatory Palestine. The Jews accepted this. The Arabs refused and attacked Israel, hoping to push the Jews into the sea or exterminate them. No one expected Israel to win the war. In 1967 and 1973, the Arab countries tried again to destroy the Jewish state.
إن شعبنا العربي قد عقد عزمه على تطهير فلسطين منكم. فاحزموا حقائبكم واهربوا من فلسطين قبل أن نأتيكم بالموت.
لا ترحم صهيوني واشنطن خليها تذبح اذبح لا ترحم صهيوني واشنطن خليها تذبح
اذبح 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 تذبح اذبح 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 تذبح اقتلوا واسحقوا واذبحوا غدا سنقذف بجثث الصهاينة الدنسة في البحر وخارج مياهنا الإقليمية لتحملها أساطيل واشنطن ولندن هدايا لجونسون وويلسون.
Despite their numerical superiority, the Arabs lost war after war. Their military defeats led them to adopt a new strategy. Use diplomacy and oil pressure to bring Israel to an end. For a land conquered by Islam must forever belong to Islam.
Islam, according to its own view, came to the world to replace Judaism and Christianity, not to live side by side with them, because Islam, according to its own terminology, it's Din al-Haq, means religion of truth, while Judaism and Christianity are Din al-Batil, religion of falsehood. Islam from the beginning was under the doubt whether it is an original religion or it is a copy and paste of Judaism and Christianity. According to Islam, a Jew has the right to live as dhimmi. The mere existence of Israel, and especially the rule over Jerusalem, and what we do in the Temple Mount, for them it means the Judaism comes back to life, and this is a threat on the mere existence, on the raison d'être of Islam.
يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا تقوم الساعة حتى يقاتل المسلمون اليهود حتى يختبئ اليهودي خلف الشجر والحجر فينطق الشجر والحجر يقول يا مسلم يا عبد الله هذا يهودي ورائي تعال فاقتله.
اللهم عجل بيوم يهود يا الله، اللهم عجل بيوم قتلهم، اللهم عجل بيوم قتالهم، اللهم عجل بيوم ذبحهم.
In 1929, an Egyptian fundamentalist imam, Hassan al-Banna, founded the Muslim Brotherhood, now recognized as a terrorist organization. Its purpose? To fight against the secular influence of England and the West. Very quickly, al-Banna became friends with Hajj Amineh al-Husseini, the great Mufti of Jerusalem, who was already responsible for the murderous riots of 1920, whose religious hatred for the Jews he shared.
بتدفنوها بايديكم وتذبحوا اليهود بايديكم زي ما ذبحناهم في الخليل ان شاء الله بتذبحوهم.
The pretext for these massacres? The Jews were reportedly preparing to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque, a lie that has since been regularly repeated by Arafat and Mahmoud Abbas.
لو أتيح للإسرائيليين أكثر من هيك لقاموا بأكثر من هيك وهدموا الأقصى.
Sie haben früher alle gelacht, diese Juden. Sie haben das für einen Spaß gehalten. Sie lachen heute nicht mehr. Sie wissen, es ist ein blutiger Ernst geworden.
Hitler's speeches convinced al-Husseini that the Nazis would be ideal allies against the English occupation and world Judaism that he dreamt of annihilating. In 1933, al-Husseini established contact with the German consul in Jerusalem. That same year, in Syria, Antun Saada, nicknamed the Syrian Führer, created his nationalist socialist party, Hizb al-Qawmi al-Suri, whose flag strangely resembles the Nazi banner. In Egypt, Ahmad Hussein founded the Young Egypt Party, Misr al-Fatah, whose slogan was "One people, one party, one leader," identical to that of the Nazi Party, the infamous Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer. Behind these alliances could be found each time the Great Mufti. In 1938, Alfred Rosenberg, an ideologue of the Nazi Party, wrote, "The longer the blaze continues in Palestine, the stronger the opposition to a Jewish state in all Muslim countries." According to German archives seized by the Allies in Flensburg, it was with Nazi money that al-Husseini launched an Arab revolt in 1936, which led to the massacre of hundreds of Jews. In 1938, when the rise of Nazism made Jewish immigration to Palestine more urgent than ever, the publication of the English White Paper would open Palestine's doors wide to Arab immigrants, while blocking the arrival of Jews in despair of escaping Nazi persecution. As the war raged and spread around the world, Haj Amina fled to Iraq, where he participated in a coup with Rashid Ali al-Kailani, a Nazi at heart just like him. Together, they unleashed the Farhud, an organized massacre of Iraqi Jews. After many exchanges with the top Nazi leaders, including Heinrich Himmler, who became a close friend, it was in 1941 that the Grand Mufti finally met Adolf Hitler. The precise condition for our collaboration with Germany was complete freedom to eliminate the Jews to the last from Palestine and the Arab world. I asked Hitler for his explicit agreement to allow us to solve the Jewish problem. The answer I received was, "The Jews are yours." The Nazis granted him a luxurious villa on Klopstock Street, which housed a Jewish school until its confiscation in 1939, as well as a comfortable pension, which he would receive until the end of the war. In return, he was responsible for radio propaganda in Arabic, espionage in the Middle East, and the organization of Muslims into military units. This division of Bosnian Muslims, established with the help of Greater Germany, is a model for Muslims in all countries. Nazi Germany is fighting world Jewry. The Quran says,
just a point, you might pick up, it's the Bosnia Muslims. You might also recognize once this was ceded, right? Remember the Bosnia-Herzegovina, the issues? This has been tried multiple times and perfected, but this is the history. Of course, there's always people going to distract because you can bend history any way you want. What about the Khazars and the Kazams and the Kazoos and the Kazazas and the Hootwaddles and the Gobblegoops? The facts are what the facts are. You don't have to look at them cross-eyed. You don't have to kind of stretch or whatever. The issue is, this is a worldwide psychological con.
You will see that the Jews are your worst enemies. In 1942, Eichmann informed the Mufti of the methods that had been are yours. The Nazis granted him a luxurious villa on Klopstock Street, which housed a Jewish school until its confiscation in 1939, as well as a comfortable pension, which he would receive until the end of the war. In return, he was responsible for radio propaganda in Arabic, espionage in the Middle East, and the organization of Muslims into military units. This division of Bosnian Muslims, established with the help of Greater Germany, is a model for Muslims in all countries. Nazi Germany is fighting world Jewry. The Quran says, "You will see that the Jews are your worst enemies." In 1942, Eichmann informed the Mufti of the methods that had been put in place for the final solution, that is, the extermination of the Jews.
Es gehört zu den Dingen, die man leicht ausspricht. Das jüdische Volk wird ausgerottet. Das sagt Ihnen jede Parteigenosse. Ganz klar steht in unserem Programm drin, Ausschaltung der Juden, Ausrottung machen wir, Kleinigkeit.
Very impressed, the Mufti asked for an advisor to help him implement the same methods in Palestine, once the Nazis had won the war. His plan was to create giant crematoria near Nablus, like those in Auschwitz, to exterminate Jews from all Arab Muslim countries. When in 1943, Eichmann planned to exchange German prisoners of war for 5,000 Jewish children and send them to Palestine with the agreement of the English government, Husseini protested and finally had the children exterminated in gas chambers. In 1944, as Germany had almost lost the war, the Mufti convinced the Nazis to organize the massive poisoning of the Jews in Palestine. A commando parachuted south of Jericho, but it was reported to British forces by the Bedouins, and its leader, Kurt Wieland, arrested. After Germany's defeat, the Mufti was imprisoned in France, then quickly freed thanks to the intervention of his longtime friend Hassan al-Banna. His anti-Semitic influence did not end with the Allies' victory. The Mufti found refuge in Egypt, where he was welcomed as a national hero, while the Arab League put pressure on the West so that he would not be tried for war crimes. In 1948, and until his death, he continued to campaign against Israel and to call for the extermination of Jews. Among his relatives was his nephew, Mohammed Abdel Rauf Arafat al-Qudwa al-Husseini, an Egyptian born in Cairo who soon became famous under his war name, Yasser Arafat. The anti-Semitic virus was already widespread in the Muslim world, but the phenomenon intensified with the massive conversion of former Nazis to Islam and the refuge of several high-ranking Nazi dignitaries in Arab countries, particularly in Syria and Egypt. Nazi officers trained the Fedayeen to become terrorists. Goebbels' propaganda methods were widely employed. But the world changed after the war, and a new totalitarianism, just as deadly as Nazism, was rapidly spreading. Like Nazism, Soviet communism needed the support of Arab Muslim countries. After having supported the partition of Palestine, Stalin realized that Israel would never become another satellite of the Soviet Empire, and he turned against the Jews. In 1964, the idea of a Palestinian people, rejected until then, had just been born in the minds of Yasser Arafat and the Egyptian president Abdel Gamal Nasser, with the help of the Russian KGB. Its objective was not to offer independence and prosperity to a people, but to turn world opinion against Israel. It took time, but it worked.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
1976. A former Nazi, Kurt Waldheim, was then Secretary General of the United Nations. Under his leadership, under pressure from the Muslim world and from communist countries, the General Assembly passed Resolution 3379, declaring Zionism as a form of racism.
A great evil has been loosed upon the world. Now I should wish it to be understood that I am here making one point and one point only, which is whatever else Zionism may be, it is not and cannot be a form of racism.
It was a temporary victory for the Palestinians, now supported by two camps, the nostalgic of Nazi Germany and the far left.
Definitely, most definitely, we oppose a Jewish state in any part of Palestine.
Resolution 3379 was cancelled in 1991. Recently, Mahmoud Abbas, whose anti-Semitism and double talk are well known, has tried to restore this old resolution.
وأقول قبل أسبوع فقط قام عدد من الحاخامات في إسرائيل وأعلنوا إعلانا واضحا مطالبين حكومتهم بتسميم المياه لقتل الفلسطينيين. أليس هذا تحريضا؟
Throughout the world, the Palestinian cause has become the symbol of a people oppressed by Jews. But it was Goebbels who said, if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it.
كانوا يبقوا على المحرقة الكاذبة أيام هتلر وهي لم تكن بهذا العدد الكبير، وأريد أن أنوه أنها كانت أكذوبة. نعم، هي كانت أكذوبة، وتآمر كثير من الإسرائيليين أو من اليهود مع هتلر.
The satanic Jews that control everything and mostly everybody.
I want you to think about that. I want you to think about how many people swear they're good conservatives and patriots in America, talk about the synagogue of Satan, the satanic Jews. Think about how many people on the right that you begin to trust, because everything's in disarray with the government and certainly our elections, use those platforms and now hopping on the bandwagon. It's the Jews are bad, synagogue of Satan. You only have three people. You either have people that are totally ignorant and want to sound like they're important, don't know, they heard something, it's easy to remember and repeat, and they do it. Then you have people that are doing it for financial reasons, for their program, for clicks, because people watch. The third thing is they're actually paid to do it. These are what you see in some of the bigger podcasters. Now, the reason this goes on and has been going on for so long, it's a very simple reason. There's 10 commandments in nature. Don't put any other gods before me. But yet, people don't understand the history. This is why I was doing the history of Muslims. I'll get back to it on locals, right? We've just been finishing up a few books, but we'll get back to the history. This is all the plan. Now, the deal is if you don't understand history, you don't understand how this works. And the very first thing that happens, well, the Khazarian, and all it is deception. They're going to give you 1,000 pieces of pies to choose from, because in that mix, somewhere you're going to find a piece of pie that you can digest, and then that will kind of be what it is. Instead of looking at this historically for exactly what it is and how it was created, it is no different in politics. What you notice there is with the work with the Nazis, to today, they call everybody Nazis. In politics, the left, everything they do, they claim it's the right that does it. It's deflection. Why do I speak about this? One, I'm a first-generation American. I am an American first, period. I know what it means to be able to come to this country and thrive. I'm a Jew. My Jewish heritage is German. I lost family in concentration camps and had family that did something I couldn't have done, but God bless them for doing it, hid out, denied their Jewishness, hid it forever, and actually became Nazis. Eventually, helped with the Allies and turned and helped the Allies conquer the Nazis, but still did it from the inside. I understand this in so many ways and understand what people do and how they do it and why they do it. What I don't understand is people who don't understand the biblical nature of it, but will swear to you they're patriots. The problem is social media has amplified this, and as the ADD effect happens, and yes, you can be an adult and you can move over into the ADD, ADHD spectrum because of mobile devices. And the way you process information change, and you process little bites. You follow what I'm saying? But this is the nature of the war. This is why it hurts so hard, because we've come to the point of good and evil. The veil is very thin now. But here's the deal. Instead of looking at it on a timeline, an actual factual timeline, which I just took you through, the con is people, well, look at this squirrel over here. But what about this squirrel over here? But what about that squirrel over here? But what about this squirrel over here? That's designed to not get you to think deeply about the actual facts. So they create thousands of little squirrel paths you can go on, little rabbit holes you can go down, because if they can get you to go down one, you forget about the core battle. And the core battle, whether you're liberal, doesn't matter your skin color, does not matter your faith, it's whether America survives or not. And every single person that swears, well, it's the Jews and I'm trying to save America, but it's the Jews, you're killing America. You have been co-opted in a plan to make sure America, the United States of America and our great republic, fails. And you actually think you're taking the high road. You actually think you're defending something. You're ignorant and your mind has been hijacked. I only presented this to you today so you could see, starting off with the propaganda pieces, look, if you can imagine some of the tight circles that communication and sharing I'm in. When this happens at those types of circles, and people say, but yeah, the Israel are committing genocide. That's when I just shake my head and go, you're supposed to be a key influencer of getting this right, and you don't even know? This just shows why the cure is you as an individual. If you never lift a finger to research, to reason, to use logic, to look at the timeline, even your own head won't work right, and you can be co-opted. Every time you click and you share, well, it's the Khazara ruse, you're making money in the form of earned media for the very people that want to destroy both Israel and the United States of America. And you think you're a warrior. Or I'll just put a hyphen in it, Jew-ish. Look how many podcasters now attack Jews, and all of a sudden one day, well, my father's black and I got black brothers and sisters, or now, well, I'm Jewish in my history, are now claiming Judy. It's a crock. I only present this as a factual case study that might spur you to look at these things closely, to look at the timeline, and to understand what's at stake, and to stop chasing all the squirrels. Because if we keep on chasing squirrels, folks, what they're doing is, and how that design works, it's designed to remove you. So you think the system doesn't give a shit about you. It's in reverse. You're the only thing this system cares about. They must keep you in mental servitude. So they're freaking terrified of you. Because if you see it clearly, and you see it for the propaganda, psychological warfare it is, and all of a sudden you rise above it, because that's the truism, the truth will set you free, they don't own your mind anymore. And once they don't own your mind anymore and you see it clearly, they can't win it back. Every bit of this is about you. And I'm talking to each and every one of you individually. You are the cure. If you don't dig deep and you don't dig to find the truth, not relying on just little social media tidbits or stuff, or I like that person because they wear a cross on the outside and they invoke Jesus. BS. You know who invokes Jesus' name the most? Satan. You've got to understand the timeline and the history, because it is the truth and only the truth that will set you free from all of this crap. And you have options. This is why they don't want you to get our elections right. It's all part of the same con. They need America to overextend itself, to financially fail, for everybody to be in chaos and pissed off so it can get sucked into the one system controlled by the great demon. You've got to understand this. I appreciate you. I love you. And this comes down to whether you take the time to know the truth or not, or whether you're willing, just make me a star, make me an influencer, give me a steak, I don't know, give me great women, right, to be in the matrix. This is really what it is, folks. Welcome to the war. Please, 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 please share this program.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo.
On Election Day 2026, insurgent candidate Spencer Pratt looked like he might flip Los Angeles to the Republicans, edging out socialist candidate Nydia Rahman, setting up a runoff between former communist-turned-Democrat incumbent Karen Bass and the Republican Pratt. But then something strange happened. After 5 days of counting extra ballots, the socialist Rahman came up with just enough ballots to overtake Pratt, meaning that no matter what happened in the runoff, a Democrat would continue to run LA into the ground. How did the Democrats do it? To answer that question, we need to take a trip down memory lane. The Democratic Party was founded in 1828. Shortly thereafter, party apparatuses such as Tammany Hall institutionalized election theft by stuffing ballot boxes, repeat voting, casting ballots for dead people, bribery, intimidation, absentee ballots, ballot harvesting, and importing voters from outside areas. An audit of a New York City election in 1868, for example, found that 16% of all votes cast were fraudulent, cooked up by Democrats in Tammany Hall. In 1948, Lyndon Johnson infamously stole a Texas Senate seat thanks to the drop of 202 late votes in ballot box 13, giving LBJ an 87-vote victory. That brazen election theft made it all the way up to the Supreme Court, which ultimately didn't want to get involved and washed its hands of the matter. As a result, LBJ went on to become vice president and then president of the United States. In 1994, Democrats tried to steal a state Senate seat in Pennsylvania. On Election Day, Republican Bruce Marks led Democrat William Stinson by over 500 votes. But the absentee ballots curiously went overwhelmingly for the Democrat, giving Stinson just enough votes to win overall. In that case, happily, a federal judge found that Philadelphia election officials had illegally delivered hundreds of absentee ballot packets directly to the Democrats, who in turn collected votes from people who were ineligible to cast votes when they weren't forging the votes outright. Democrats ran precisely the same absentee ballot playbook in 2003 in the East Chicago, Indiana mayor's race, fraud we know about only because the Indiana Supreme Court decided to get involved, ordering a new election, which the Democrat fraudster happily lost. Democrats' reliance on absentee ballot harvesting became so widespread, especially in states such as Illinois, Arkansas, and Georgia, that the 1982 Illinois elections resulted in 62 indictments and 58 convictions for election fraud, involving not only campaign workers, but precinct captains and election officials. In Chicago alone, a grand jury found that 100,000 fraudulent votes had been cast. But Chicago had already been a central hub of Democrat election theft for decades, most infamously exemplified by the 1960 presidential election, in which Robert Dallek, a biographer of both John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, concluded that Democrats, quote, probably stole Illinois from Nixon. In 2020, Democrat politicians infamously changed voter laws throughout the United States to increase absentee ballots and insecure ballot drop boxes, in some cases, such as Pennsylvania, in violation of the state constitution. Despite claims of perfectly secure elections, hundreds of Democrats over American history have been convicted over election fraud, and those convictions represent only a small percentage of cases, which represent only a small percentage of allegations of voter fraud widely acknowledged by historians and really by anyone with eyes. In Los Angeles, we see the same old story. A Republican defeated by the last-minute count of absentee ballots, cast without any solid chain of custody, often in ballot drop boxes without any election security. Those circumstances might all be perfectly legal, at least in a Democrat stronghold such as Gomorrah by the Sea. But we're still left with a simple question. If Democrats want us to believe there isn't any voter fraud, why do they keep expanding the use of all the same tricks they've used to steal elections for the past 200 years?
The more you knows. The upcoming 2026 midterms could be a bloodbath for Republicans? How? Consider this. On Election Day 2008, Barack Obama received 69 million votes. In his second term, he racked up 65 million votes, and he was considered the Democrat rock star president. Then Hillary ran against Donald Trump. She received the same 65 million votes. But come 2020, Joe Biden supposedly received 81 million votes. Was he really more popular than Obama or Hillary? Of course not. But that is not the half of it. In the 2024 election, Kamala Harris received 68 million votes. But did you know that now it's almost 2 years after that election, and somehow Kamala Harris has been elevated to over 75 million votes? How does a candidate get 8 million more votes after the election? Is this an attempt to validate the fraudulent 81 million vote fantasy from 2020? You bet. One thing stands between chaos and correcting history, and that is the historic 2020 full forensic archive of Maricopa County, Arizona. The single most detailed full audit of a presidential election in American history, audited over 2 million ballots, generated over 20,895,000 individual proof files. This took 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. This evidence must be kept for any and all future court cases, Supreme Court cases, and preserved for all time, eventually at the Trump Presidential Library. That is why we need you. You, the people, made this history happen, and now you, the people, can have a hand in making sure this evidence is saved for future generations. Please donate. Please help us. Donate now to continue to preserve in a chain of custody state of the only legal court-ready evidence of the 2020 election disaster, the 2.1 million physical ballots, the single largest forensic audit of a presidential election in American history. Please donate now and preserve history.